Now, this is a shot in the arm. Pfizer and BioNTech announcing a booster shot of their vaccine in a lab study does protect against the new Omicron variant, but you need 3 shots. And GlaxoSmithKline saying its drug treatment for COVID patients in initial tests is also working against Omicron. And the White House's top COVID doctor, Anthony Fauci, saying in a media interview Omicron is almost certainly not more severe than Delta. This while the total number of reported deaths from Omicron worldwide remains at 0. But as we see new variants appear, vaccine scientists, according to Politico, are telling the White House you need a new Operation Warp Speed, the initiative that helped develop the first round of vaccines. So how would that look and how would it work? Who better to ask than Adam Boehler? He was a founding member of Operation Warp Speed under President Trump. And Dr. Brett Giroir back with us again, the former White House testing czar. So, gentlemen, a lot of good news here. Dr. Giroir, let's start with you. From the treatment to what the news has come now, about 200 million Americans fully vaccinated, and the latest from Pfizer and how effective the vaccine against Omicron. What do we know about the other vaccines at this point?
Well, right now we don't know about the other vaccines, but we would suspect similar results to the Pfizer vaccine. And again, all we have is the press release, but it's very encouraging, is that the booster of the Pfizer vaccine, at least in a test tube, looks like it gives equivalent protection against Omicron as 2 doses would against the other strains of coronavirus, of COVID-19. So this is very good news. We also expect that other treatments would be successful as well. Not all monoclonal antibodies, but some of the monoclonal antibodies seem to be helpful. And remember that oral drug from Merck and Ridgeback that we're waiting for authorization, it should work against all variants as well.
Adam, when the Omicron news broke over Black Friday, it was sort of a slow weekend of news, and everyone kind of panicked, at least for the weekend, right? I mean, the markets dropped, we shut down international flights, but the American people seemed in the end to kind of shrug it off. And now, as we know, it doesn't appear to be as serious. Is this what we're in for as these variants continue to, I guess, arise? Is this kind of like a rinse and repeat, do you think?
I mean, I think it's a little bit of you see the development of diseases like this, and we're going to come to a point where, look, you get your flu shot, you're going to be getting your COVID booster every year. So I think it's going to be coming to a point of normalization at some point. And then the question is going to become, how do we avoid another pandemic? Because COVID-19 and everything that will go on will eventually become a regular part of life in terms of how we deal with it. What's the next and what's the next, and how do we prepare for that?
So I guess the concern with that then, Doctor, would be that there is some variant that finds a way to outrun the virus.
Well, it's always certainly possible because viruses do evolve, and we have to do our best to work against that. And again, the vaccines we have now have been remarkably effective against all the variants. And I just want to define what effective is. If I get the sniffles for 2 days and no long-term side effects, that's not a vaccine failure. That's a vaccine success. And we're seeing that across the board. And remember, our oral drugs from Merck and from Pfizer that we expect to be authorized will work against all of them. And I agree with Adam, and I often do, that this will be a normal part of our lives. I don't think we're going to have vaccines every year, but it's certainly possible. But it will smolder. It just won't be as significant with hospitalizations and deaths, and certainly not the number of cases.
Yeah, my question as I got my booster was, are we going to have to do this every 6 months? But I guess to you guys, it sounds like every year. Adam, let me get you on this new call for a new Operation Warp Speed. There are experts saying this is the most important project we can undertake. And also, we need a universal coronavirus vaccine that's not affected by variants. We can do it, but we need the will. Do you think we can do it, and do we have the will?
I mean, we did it once before, and I think at the end of the day, and this is something that I work really closely with Admiral Giroir on and the whole team over there, the strength of the United States is our private market. And when you combine a federal government initiative backing up private market, you get great results. Now, the question here again is it's going to shift beyond coronavirus. I think the lesson here, and the lucky thing we had is we had a major pandemic, but one that didn't have what it could be, which is a really, really bad death rate. And so the question is, how do we prepare ourselves kind of going forward? And that's where I think you could think about an Operation Warp Speed Part 2, but something that makes sure that we're kind of future-proofing so that we can really rush to fix things up front.
You guys were both critical in this Operation Warp Speed. And what I'm sort of confounded by is the fact that it's become so political instead of something that we should all be celebrating. I mean, this was something that was done in record time and has really, I guess, never been done. Why do you think, and are you frustrated, Doctor, I'll start with you, with the fact that this has become so political and it's Republicans primarily who have been hesitant, even though it's one of the accomplishments that Donald Trump, can really hang his hat on?
Well, of course, and Adam's spoken about this issue on this show before. It's unfortunate that's been politicized, but it was politicized before the election with all the rhetoric about not trusting Donald Trump's vaccine, and it was further politicized after the election when President Biden seemed to take all credit for Operation Warp Speed and said he was handed a mess. So we have to reboot, though. There should be nothing political about vaccines. These are highly safe, they're highly effective. The Trump administration developed them. The baton was handed to the Biden administration, and they're running with it. This is an American success story because of the government-private sector collaboration. Adam, hit the nail on the head. That is the secret sauce. Why this happened, we have to learn from it and repeat it.
Adam, the other thing about this is, as we know, the vaccine is a dead end for the virus, and the unvaccinated worldwide are allowing it essentially to mutate. It's become, and probably will continue to be, sort of a whack-a-mole until we get more global vaccinations, correct?
Yeah, I think it is important, and I think Admiral Giroir said it well. The president was one of the first people to be vaccinated. The president, when he got COVID, was one of the first people pushing forward and using therapeutics, right? So this should be a bipartisan focus on vaccination. This is about health care. And as I said, people can criticize, but at the end of the day, President Trump and every former president has been vaccinated. So it should be a Democrat, Republican, united in this. I do think it's going to be important worldwide. And so that's got to be a major focus.
Yeah, Dr. Giroir, according to a report from NBC News, 6 states now account for half of COVID hospitalizations: Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Indiana, and New York. Not necessarily the states you might have expected or viewers might not have expected. Why do you think that is in those states?
Well, this is a tough pandemic. This virus is very contagious, particularly Delta, and I want to say it's fine for us to focus on Omicron, but Delta has got us now. And what you see is a regional pattern. We saw this from the very earliest days in March, that it may start somewhere but then go somewhere else. I think you saw that it was in Texas and Florida and some of the Gulf states. Everybody got blamed for that. There was no blame going on. It's a regional disease. Now it's up in the north where you see it. So that regional pattern is typical. This will burn itself out in the north, particularly as vaccines go up and natural immunity goes up. Every day when people get infected, they do develop natural immunity, and that is a powerful protectant against future disease as well.
A lot of developments today, a lot of good news as well, and 2 great voices to start us off. Adam Boehler, founding member of Operation Warp Speed. He now heads up Rubicon Founders, and also Dr. Brett Giroir, former Assistant Secretary in the Health and Human Services Department. Thanks to both of you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.